Okay. All right, good day. It's time to get underway. We are today talking about a topic that is pertinent to me only because I'm in the States and we just celebrated Thanksgiving this past week, a time of being grateful. So it was this past Thursday, and I was fortunate enough to have 25 members of my family fly in from all over the U.S. to Florida to celebrate my mom's 90th birthday. Yay! So we had a good time. We feasted. So I was grateful for a family that's close, for people that can get along well, who actually want to be together versus, you know how it is at the holidays sometimes. So I was just all around thankful. So I thought, you know what, we should fire out a leadership broadcast about 7 powerful ways to elevate leadership. 7 powerful ways to elevate your leadership with gratitude. If that's too much to write down or think about, we're going to talk about gratitude. And I may cover this again at the meeting coming up in January in more depth, because I think being grateful is such an important topic now. Because there are so many people, I'm speaking for the States, I don't know how it is in your country, but there's so many people on social media now who are ungrateful. They're lost. They just finished a study that I heard about that said that the number one feeling among a majority of Americans is loneliness. Loneliness. And so you're thinking, here I am on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm Snapchatting all day long, and I should feel connected, but people feel lonely. And what's happening here is that because of that loneliness, they are forming communities around rage, which is really interesting. Political rage. There's a lot of online nastiness here, to the point where, I don't even use my Twitter account much, because it's just like bots gone crazy, and half of them aren't real anyway. So it's an exciting topic. So I thought, rather than get sucked into that whole system of loneliness and rage, that's not a good community to be in. I thought we'd spend just a few minutes talking about gratitude. Okay? Last week we talked a little bit about some cryptic remarks I made, that you see what you look for. And let me just make a couple introductory comments, which may or may not be useful at all. But if you assume the worst, attitude-wise, you'll always find fault. If you look for problems, most of you, being at LGFG, don't have to look for problems. They're just there, right? But you tend to find obstacles when you look for problems. If you look for progress, you find gratitude. Okay? So I'm going to speak to the leaders first. If you're in a position of like positional leadership at LGFG, if you're a partner, if you're running an office, I want to talk about you as you relate to people that report to you. And I don't want you to write these down, but first I wanted to talk about 5 ways that I've seen leaders with power and influence be stingy with gratitude. They're actually stingy, right? They withheld it. First, I've seen leaders that don't express gratitude because they anticipate future failure. Like their people, their sales team has failed them in the past, and they know, you know what? They're going to probably do the same in the future, so I'm not going to mess with saying thank you. Not a great approach to working with people. I've seen leaders who, because of their inflated egos, because they think they're God's gift to the sales world, that they're not grateful for people that aren't as talented as they are, or wonderful, So they withhold. Another thing I've seen is I've actually heard leaders say that you're paid to do your job, so why should I express appreciation? It's like, hey, you've got a job, so Feel good that you're employed. Have a nice day, employee number 70248. And it's just very, that's not a great way to relate to people. And I knew a guy that didn't express appreciation to the team he worked with because it just took too long. He was so busy. I'm so busy, I don't have time to say thank you. I don't have time to drop somebody a note. I don't have time for an email. Stingy. And finally, I would say that I've known leaders that don't express gratitude unless the results are perfect and everybody's hit their goals. So, they just can't express gratitude for imperfection. And sadly, very few of us are perfect that I'm aware of. And so you would never hear that from people. So that's kind of the dark side I see of leadership with leaders who don't express gratitude very well. But let me just throw out some super easy, quick 7 ways to elevate leadership with gratitude. And then you guys can talk about these. There we go, letting more people in. You can talk about these 7 ways to elevate leadership amongst yourselves when this is over, okay? First, let me tell you this. I want to make one introductory comment since I'm making a lot of those. Unruins you. Like the ungrateful leaders I was talking about become unkind, unhelpful, unhopeful, and unconnected. So ungratefulness says performance and effort don't matter. It's just completely the bottom line. So here are the tips. Let's try to employ some of these. Maybe you should try a couple of these. Some of you've done these, but here's a good one. Number 1, I would put up a gratitude list on your desk or in the office on a bulletin board so everybody can see it. And add 1 new thing you're grateful for a day. And I would do that from now until Christmas, till the end of the year. Wouldn't that be cool to walk into the office and you've got this huge running list, everybody's added 1 thing they're grateful for? And it could be about your work or it could be about your life or personal stuff, but you've added this list grows and grows and you're like, wow, I'm feeling less lonely and disconnected. I'm actually feeling part of a happy community. Wouldn't that be cool? Yes, people nodding, thank you. Second thing I would do is just say thank you for small things. If you run into a secretary in one of the office buildings and firms you're calling on, be sure, to take care of them, but be sure to say thank you. Saying thank you is one of the 4 keys to success that I've talked about. And if you recall what those are, that's number 1, you be on time. Number 2, you do what you say. Number 3, you finish what you start. Number 4, you say please and thank you to people. Because I think saying thank you is like the WD-40 of relationships. Do you guys have WD-40 in your countries? It's a little spray. Like if you've got a rusty hinge that's squeaking, you spray it in there, and it tends to loosen the rust. It's the lubricant of relationships, saying thank you. Okay, there you go. Number 4, this is if you've got, if you need a break at the office or you have some free time in between floats, I would just take what I would call a gratitude walkabout.
I'm sorry, what was number 3?
Right, oh, I'm sorry. I just skipped it because I felt like it. In America, we count, the natural numbers are 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Is it different in your country? I'm kidding. Okay, I'll do number 3 because I realize I've just destroyed many of your weeks have been destroyed. Number 3 is so simple. Write a thank you email. Just write a thank you email to somebody. Yana yesterday on our call said that she had received a nice email from one of her friends, and it really just completely impacted her. It was a while back, but she still remembers the email that she expressed her appreciation for her friendship, and that was just somebody taking the time to do that. So, you might consider that. So write a thank you email. And now I move on to number 4, which is take a gratitude walkabout. A walkabout, in other words, put on your calendar, if you don't have an appointment, say Wednesday at 3 o'clock, or you have a 30-minute break when you're not floating and doing all kinds of LGFG stuff, take a short gratitude walk. You know, especially if you can be in nature, it's a great thing. When I walk my dogs, I purposely leave my phone at home. Don't want calls, because I want to like see the sky. And as a former meteorology major, I know all the different cloud formations, so I can spot them and name them and appreciate them. So do you even notice that? I mean, we've got all kinds of flora and fauna here in Tennessee in the United States. So sometimes I just want to unplug from all the speed and just notice what's around me. And if you really pay attention and you don't live in Hong Kong or a big downtown city, you can actually hear birds. If you're in Toronto or something like, you probably hear pigeons, but that's about it. So, you know, notice what you're seeing, hear what you're hearing, and just take a short walk. Now, am I saying, Lee told us on the call this morning that in the middle of the week we need to take a 2-hour nature break. No, I'm not saying that, but sometimes it's cool just to take a few minutes to take a few deep breaths and go for a walk and just be grateful for what God's constructed out there. It's beautiful. All right, number 5. Number 5. If you're running a meeting, before the meeting, jot down one thing you appreciate about each person that's going to attend. Okay, so if you're writing the agenda for a meeting, or if you're part of the meeting, write down one thing about each person who will attend. Now in DeVal, you're going, holy crap, we got like 30 people. This is a huge assignment. No, you don't have to do it. I'm looking at offices that have 1 or 2 people. Or Bernice, she can just write about herself, you know, or Chris, just solo it. But think of something that you appreciate about the folks in the meeting, and that will change your attitude about them. And you know what? It's okay to express that. Because how many times out of the blue has somebody just said, hey, you know what? I just wanted to tell you, here's what I appreciate about you. You're like, what? It's like getting a verbal hug. So consider that, you know. And I know in Europe it's not quite the same. In the States, we're kind of huggy and a little more emotional, etc. In Europe, it's like, I like you, I appreciate you. And that's fine. Say that. But anyway, I'll keep going. There's really, what I'm drinking here is green tea. That's all it is. It may sound like something else, but it's not. It's the morning here. Okay. So here's another one. 6. If I got my numbers right. Before composing an email, before you write an email, think of one thing you appreciate about whoever's getting it, the recipient. And if you're just, and you don't, in every email, you're not going to sit and write something you appreciate about them, but occasionally when it pops into your head, and now it will, after you've written the little business portion, just underneath, you can always start a paragraph by saying, by the way. Whenever somebody says, by the way, that means here's something really important. So write, by the way, just wanted to let you know I really appreciate you doing X for me, or appreciate our relationship, whatever it is. Okay? So be creative. So that's number 6. And number 7 is be sure not to use the eraser word, but. Don't say but after you express gratitude. Have you ever had somebody do that? Hey, I really appreciate your effort at hitting your goals this month, but you know, there's something that you need to really work on. See, what but does is it sits in the middle of the sentence. It erases everything that came before it. Because everybody's like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And then you go, but, and you're like, ugh. And then all you remember is the post-but part. You know what I'm talking about? So after you've expressed gratitude, put a period in there. And then maybe later, or as an afterthought, you can share a little bit more detail if you need to. All right? So think about a gratitude list for your office wall or your desk. Say thank you for small things. Write thank you emails You know, I know you do that with your clients, but still that's kind of transactional. I want you to do it out of the blue. Occasionally take a gratitude walk if you need to refresh on your attitude. Put it on your calendar if you have to. Before meetings, write down one thing you appreciate about people on the team you're going to meet with. Before composing an email, write something or think about something you appreciate about the person you're writing to. And finally, leave the but word behind. Okay, so that's simple. 7 simple things that you can do to elevate leadership. Okay? Now, I do want to give you an assignment and a couple questions to talk about. When you're sitting with people here, before we finish our little meeting or after I hang up, I want you to pick somebody at the table or go around in a circle and ask people to complete this sentence. I'm thankful for Alex because fill in the blank. And everybody go around. If there aren't too many people, use your judgment here. But just complete that sentence. I'm thankful for Inga because she always, okay? Fill in the blanks. It's good. It's fun. So that's your simple assignment. I want to close with this along with my questions. The Boston Consulting Group is a very famous and old consulting firm here in the States. And they report that the number one factor in employee happiness is appreciation for their work. Appreciation for their work. But how many people do you know, your friends, maybe people you work with occasionally, who don't feel appreciated? I mean, there were times in my previous life where I didn't feel appreciated, and it's just harder to work in an environment where you feel like what I'm doing, I'm just a cog in the wheel, right? So let's take time to appreciate others and be grateful for how they're contributing to the team, because it's expressing gratitude elevates everyone, including you, because when you do it, it's sort of a gift that keeps giving. It boomerangs and comes back to you. Yeah. All right, good. So let me give you 2 questions to think about, and you can do your little appreciation exercise. So write these down because I want you to talk about. Number 1, which of those gratitude tips could you put into practice as a habit? Which of those could you put into practice as a habit? Maybe all decide to do one of them together, like number 1. And then second, this is a little more philosophical, but maybe you might talk for a minute about what prevents leaders from expressing gratitude. Is it ego? Is they're too busy? Is it their self-importance? I don't know. What prevents leaders from expressing gratitude? All right? You know what to do. Well, listen, I wanted to tell you that I am thankful for having you all as teammates. Okay? It's fun to be in business with you, even if we're all just sort of two-dimensional thumbnails, and that's all I get to see of you. But I do appreciate being with you, and I enjoy spending time with you. So I'm giving you a group thank you right here. There it goes. You should feel good right now. All right. All right. So we will meet. Let's do this next week. We'll talk about something a little bit different. But I encourage you, do your best, have fun, finish strong. And I wanted to remind you that if you get 50 floats, that's $200 as an NCP bonus that goes right into your bank account. 10 for floats, 10 floats a day, 50 floats. Woo! Great way to make a little extra dough on the side, just for doing your job. All right. Thanks, guys. Well done. Have a good one. We will talk to you soon. Bye.
We appreciate you, Lee.
Yay!
Yay! Great way to start the week.
I feel so good. I'm a winner. See ya.
You're a winner. Bye.
Bye-bye.
How about me enjoying the moment for once? How about how good it feels to finally forgive you?